Greetings. Did the title of this video or the thumbnail, did it trigger you? Good. That was the intention. And I'm going to ask you to park your moral indignation for, as long as you're capable of, and listen to what I have to say. I did this on purpose. June is now officially woke, extremist, liberal retard month. And as I say, if you are triggered by this, then it's for you. And I can prove it. Evidence of the fact that extremist woke liberal types suffer from extreme cognitive impairment comes from the fact that probably the most common response to a missive like what I put out is to label someone as phobic. We've got all these terms: homophobia, transphobia, Islamophobia. Woke left liberal morons love sticking the word phobia on words, but they aren't smart enough to know what it means. Now, if you go do a dictionary or Wikipedia search, you're going to come across definitions defining phobia as an anxiety disorder defined by an irrational, unrealistic, persistent, and excessive fear of an object or situation. Like one example would be aquaphobia, an intense fear of water. It can cause someone to go and have a panic attack over something as simple as getting onto a boat. And to be clear, I've never seen anyone have a panic attack over water. And likewise, I have never seen anyone have a panic attack when confronted with a homosexual or an individual who's confused about what gender they are. Now, there may be some individuals who have an irrational and excessive fear of homosexuals and the gender confused. But as I say, I've never met one. And just to put a fine point on things, there are lots of people who don't like activities like involving water, for example, but that doesn't mean they're aquaphobic. Sticking this phobia label on things, it's just a brainless playground bullying juvenile game of name calling in an effort to win an argument or debate. You're a transphobe. And the point of this video is that there's actually something far more important that we need to be discussing. There's a much deeper conversation that needs to be taking place, monumentally more important because it speaks to the very foundation of our society and our culture. And likening the foundations of society and culture to the foundations of a building is a pretty common metaphor. If the foundation of a building is damaged, the building can teeter and fall. At best, it will simply start to crumble slowly, and you sure as heck you can't add any levels to your building. That's impossible. So there's no more reaching higher. And there can be no doubt that Western society and culture is under attack. And the enemies of our civilization have taken direct aim at the foundations of countries like my native Canada. It has gotten so bad that we can no longer agree that XY men can't be pregnant at the institutional level. Yeah. Yes, the majority of people, I'm convinced, everyone I know, people still know the difference between the genders, but not government agencies, not post-secondary, even departments of education. They profess this belief that they don't know. When we have government employees and people like working in educational bureaucracies, when they're required to tell you their pronouns, you know that the ship that we're sailing on is taking on water. The anchor has been lifted, the sails are torn, and the motors driving the propellers no longer function. And you can call it progression if you want, but what we're progressing toward is simply decay and ultimate destruction. And that's what the enemies of the Western world want. Our enemies want us divided. and they have more tools at their disposal to effect this division than at any other point in human history. Why did I call it woke extremist? Why am I calling these woke extremist liberal types, quote unquote, retards? I'm playing the game, sadly. Online content, YouTube videos, everything like that, that is divisive and triggering, I believe it gets amplified. If your content is reasonable and measured, I believe it's often suppressed. There are foreign actors that can use things like bot farms to game the algorithms used by social media sites like YouTube in order to move divisive, inflammatory content higher in people's feeds, and then throttling content that attempts to bring about a sense of unity. Like someone could put out something loving, caring, wonderful that would bring people together, bring the Western world together in a sense of common purpose. But if nobody sees it, what's the use? So this little video I'm doing, it's kind of a bit of a test. Normally, if you've watched my videos before, I tend to shy away from what I will refer to as inflammatory words like retard. But I think it might work in terms of amplifying the content and gaining some exposure. We'll see if it works. Thank you for tuning in. If you enjoyed my content, you're welcome. You know the drill. Like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. Fill the comment field down below. I wonder how many people are just going to be triggered and not even bother to consume the content less than 10 minutes and will just simply go call me the names transphobe, homophobe, whatever. And incidentally, I'm none of the above. I don't have an irrational fear of those who suffer gender confusion or from homosexuals. Uh, I actually consider myself to be a classic liberal, not the extremist woke type, but classical liberal. Anyway, that's enough for now. I will be uploading this on Friday, the 6th of June, and hope to see you back. Talk to you later. Good night, good morning, good afternoon, whatever it happens to be.